And we have our final guest before I do our wrap up, one of my favorite people in dentistry. I'm getting my cell phone out to read him something. So we have the amazing Vivek, who is a dentisting human, who I always like to kind of start with this. So I really value Vivek's passion for sharing his thoughts. And we had many friendly disagreements when he first joined Facebook. But one of the things he would tell me early on was, dentists, they should be more grateful. They make over 6 figures a year. But then he's been managing his wife's office and working with dentists. So before we start, Vivek, has your mindset on the stress level of dentists been reframed at all over the past few years?
Yeah, for sure, man. We've talked about this. It's like the toughest profession in the country, right? It's, it's maybe being a dentist and like working at a fast-paced kitchen, man. I don't know, right? Like, but
I agree with you. Now, before we dive into what you do, so we had friendly disagreements, but we're friends. But what made you change working with your awesome, amazing wife, working with dentists? What has helped you transform that? Where have you seen this intensity in dentistry, whether it's been over the past couple of years? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot to do with it. Maybe you use this phrase, right? It's like dog hours or something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Where I'm like, because I used to make a statement. I'm like, man, I'm a computer software engineer, right? We are used to deadlines, working 50, 60 hours a week. I come back home and I'm still working, and my wife is like, she comes back home and she's not working on patients or anything anymore, right? Obviously, when she started her practice and eventually I joined, right, realized what she said, like 32 hours clinical, right, in a week is like 64 normal hours, because it's like all high intense hours, right? And so my mind was just basically saying, well, this is the amount of hours you work as a dentist, and this is, and you don't bring anything home. Well, the reality is very different. First of all, those are very intense hours. Second, you always bring stuff home and the stress never removes, right? Like all those things.
That's so important and key. I actually just maybe inspired me to think of an idea. Like, they talk about this high intensity interval training, and they say, hey, run fast on a treadmill and you'll burn fat later. Well, that's good. Well, dentistry is like, be stressed now and good for you. It also continues later. So love that, Vivek. I want to start off with, it's all about stories. So I literally got this 1 hour ago. Hi, Paul. Thanks for hosting such a great group. I've used a few resources like PPO Profits. They've been a pleasure to work with and help me. So tell our audience, what does PPO Profits do to make the lives of dentists better? What are you doing on a daily basis to make their lives better?
We're a fee negotiation company, but it's a bit of a misnomer, right? People think that we're like negotiating with insurances to get you better fees. Small part of it, big part of it is that, very often you can like restructure the way your insurance contracts are, so you just get paid more, right?
Yeah.
So our goal is look at basically how it is, negotiate, get the best possible fee schedules, and then underlying make sure that the contracts are pointing to the right fee schedules. Right. Somewhat doesn't make sense for somebody that doesn't realize what I'm talking about, but it's just one of those things where you can be in network with one insurance company 7 different ways. We just find the best way for you to be in network there, right? The end result of that being is that you used to do a pro fee and you would get paid $60. Now you get paid $85. Right.
And that impact, Vivek, AATI impact. I mean, we've been on podcasts, many things together, spend time together. We wear the same clothes sometimes, all those things. But you've said this, and I've used that dentists doing this is one of the most important things they can focus on for their career, for their life, for their livelihood, because being paid more for the same work has an impact that lasts for years and years. So I think this is so important for dentists to think about. Break down a little bit the process. So someone texts in PPO to 215-543-6454. You're one of the most popular just find out topics because insurance is become very much like this guy here. What happens when they do this? What do you and your team do? Do you find if they're in network with 9 insurances, 4 insurances, and also manage people's expectations on the time it takes to get to the end zone?
Yeah. So, obviously step 1 is to figure out what the current status is, right? And then negotiate with a lot of the insurance companies and umbrella networks and shared networks, etc., that you may not be in network with, right? The example I use is you can be in network with Aetna through Principal, right? So if you see that you have a network with Aetna and then we negotiate a fee schedule with Principal that's 25% higher, then we'd rather have you be in network with Aetna through Principal, which is 25% more. Gotcha. So we basically look at these optimizations after negotiations and then, strike up the, basically it's like optimization of which insurance. Time frame is the number one thing, right? Like it's weird. When I tell people when I first started, I used to underestimate everything and got in a lot of trouble,
Yeah.
right? And so, and it'll be like, oh man, you said 6 months, it's now
Yes.
1 year. Now I tell people 15 months, and they're like, what are you talking about? It's yesterday I got an email, and somebody was looking to add an associate. I'm like, plan for 6 to 8 months. Two companies, Aetna and MetLife, can take even longer.
Yeah.
I got a response right back saying, I just talked to a consultant who said this is a 30 to 90-day process. And I mean, after, right, like just like as a dentist, after a while, you just want to, I just responded.
Dentists have a special level of selective hearing, Vivek, for two reasons. One, people hear when they hear. Two, there's a chance they were actually talking about signing up for the insurance for 30 to 90 days, and they were misunderstanding what that even was. And two, you're going to be just as annoyed in 15 months. You might as well be patient, because no magic fairy is going to come and fix this. But I think what you're sharing is why it's so important to act now about finance. Why does it take so long? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Everything about insurances takes forever, right? Like, so when we basically sign up with an insurance company, it takes 90 to 120 days. But now we're doing a two-step credentialing, because now principal needs to send the data to Aetna. But now we also need to terminate the Aetna direct contract, right? After the Aetna, that takes 90 to 120 days. And now Aetna is going to say, we're not just going to add the provider. We have to re-credential the provider, which takes another 90 to 120 days. You add up all of that stuff, and you're at 15th month mark, right? So now when I tell people that this is going to take 10 to 15 months, some insurance is 10 months, some insurance 15 months. Now, add to that, we have a backlog, right? So, and I'm pretty clear about that. I'm like, we're going to start your process in 2 months, 10 to 15 months from there. So you're not going to see any advantage for up to a year, right? And yeah, it's one of those things, right, where no matter what, right, when it's going through that much time, people are going to get frustrated, right? It's just that now, like you said, managing expectations.
But just say this, Vivek, say totally get it. I mean, this happens with implant dentistry with me. Why can't I have the tooth yesterday that's not invented yet? I say, you could say you're going to be just as annoyed with your insurance fees 15 months from now, and you're going to be glad you started now. So as we wrap up, Vivek, I want to talk about this one amazing person named Tim, and you know who I'm talking about. So this wraps up the entire message here, but I want you to talk a little about Tim's case. So Tim reached out to me through Dental Nachos on my phone and said, should I contact PPO Profits? I said, yes. Usually that would be good enough. He said, why? Is it good? Is it not good? We went back and forth 8, 9 times on Messenger, where I actually kind of said, Tim, if you don't just do the demo with Vivek, I'm not going to help you anymore, right? Because he was so analysis paralysis. And he's authentically said doing what he's done with PPO Profits has been one of the best moves for his career. So the impact on these practices, what are you seeing now that you have clients 2 and 3 years? Yeah. And what are they reporting back to you?
I had a meeting with a client last Monday, right? And he was adding a new location, had bought a practice, and he said, Vivek, super painful process, took over a year, right? I'm like, doctor, would you redo it again? He's like, let me show you something. He pulled practice by numbers. December 2019, when he first bought the practice, adjusted production of $71,000. May of 2021, which was not last month. Yesterday it would have been last month, but you know what I'm talking about. May of 2021, 104,000, right? Yeah. He's like, Vivek, this is like, and what people don't realize that $20,000 extra is a net take-home increase.
Right, exactly. It doesn't go through it's a make more money by doing the same full contact arch crest procedure. I really appreciate it, Vivek. I'll let you wrap up with another thing here. Go ahead.
Just one last thing. I just want to really tell everyone the whole process of fee negotiation is going down. Okay, it's like this very rapidly, and I'm telling everybody that started with me 2 weeks ago, don't expect what others have gotten. It's no longer the same. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Every week I get some new news, right? So it's one of those things where if you wanted to get started, it's probably never a better time. Just like you said, go through the frustration with me.
And also, and we're going to bring people up in a second. It's also, you add value, Vivek, more than just in the negotiation. And also, like you said, just understanding what contracts you're in with. And I'm sure you tell people to stay away from this or do this or don't get in this, because it's very confusing. So thanks for being a fun friend, Vivek. Love all the things you do.